Welcome, everybody. This is the Thursday, June 26th, 2025 meeting of the Somerville Fair Housing Commission. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting of the Somerville Fair Housing Commission will be conducted via remote participation. We will have an audio recording available upon request as soon as possible after the meeting. So I will call the meeting to order. Ask permission from the commissioners to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners Janine and Rona. We hope other commissioners will join us soon. We have our wonderful consultant, Gloria Halangpu from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council with us for the first 15 minutes of the meeting. So with the consent of the commissioners, we're going to skip directly to the bullet under Roman numeral 3 on our agenda that deals with MAPC's technical assistance. And Gloria, will turn it over to you when you're ready.
Sure, thank you. Not sure if you all can see me, but hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Great. Yeah, thank you all for moving things around on the schedule. Join as panel.
And we welcome Commissioner Kay.
Hi,
Gloria,
everyone.
you might be able to turn on your camera now, I think, if you're a panelist. I'm not sure. And hi, Kay.
Looks like that worked. Thanks, Shannon. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Yeah, just really quickly, I wanted to jump in and first of all, thank you all for participating in our initial landscape analysis exercise a couple of weeks ago now. And really just wanted to check in on that follow-up email that I had sent after the meeting so that we can get some consensus on next steps for that landscape analysis. So as a recap, I think Shannon had sent this out on my behalf. But there are a couple of asks. One was Shannon and I had identified a number of organizations we might want to follow up with one-on-one conversations with to sort of, again, hear their understanding of the landscape of players related to fair housing in Somerville and build out our understanding through the landscape analysis. And so those were Somerviva, Connections, CAS, and the Somerville Homeless Coalition. Those are the four that we landed as the initial set of one-on-one conversation outreach based on our initial landscape analysis exercise with the idea that we'll sort of see if any other organizations come to the surface from that initial set of conversations and do another round. So first, would love to just check in and confirm whether that sounds good to folks, if you all have any other thoughts of organizations we should be chatting with in this initial round.
Commissioners?
All good.
Okay, great. Well,
so
that
I
was
want to
easy.
say that I think I want to apologize to MAPC. I only got around to responding to the ask to look over the list today, and I don't think anybody else has yet. So I'm going to request our able staff person, Shannon, if you would resend that email, and then I'll request the other commissioners take a look. I took a stab at putting in a few contact people. Please feel free to correct me if you know a better person for those organizations, and please add for organizations that I didn't do. Back to you, Gloria.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, for doing that, and definitely would appreciate the other commissioners to help plug in where you know of contacts for different organizations, or if there are other organizations that didn't come up in our initial brainstorm that you think we should at least be aware of, if not maybe reach out to for a one-on-one conversation. We can resend the link, but I essentially created an Excel sheet based on our brainstorming activity from last time, so that it can be organized in a little bit more of a systematic way. And then in addition to just getting the contact information for folks, in that email via Shannon that you all received, there's also a link to a conversation guide that would inform those one-on-one conversations and sort of provide some prompts and sample questions that we would want to ask folks in those one-on-one conversations from, again, from that list, Summer Viva, Connections, CAS, Somerville Homeless Coalition to start with. Of course, would also appreciate everyone's input on that conversation guide. So if you have a chance to take a look at that and add any comments, it's something that we use pretty regularly within our work at MAPC, doing stakeholder analyses, landscape analyses, but always want to customize it to the particular context that we're working in, which is why we're putting that in front of you all. And then when we go and start to schedule those conversations with those organizations, it's always great to have multiple folks join those meetings. So we have one person facilitating and holding the space, but also potentially a note taker, and also have an opportunity to create a relationship between the organization we're talking to and you all as commissioners. So just wanted to flag that, invite you all to sign up to join those conversations and help facilitate or just be there to meet the folks from these different organizations that we're going to reach out to based on your capacity. I'll take the lead with like scheduling and outreach and all of that, but I'll be sending out the times so that you all can sign on to join as and when you're available and interested. So that's really the plan.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. I was able to print out or to access the documents that you sent, but
Great.
I think part of it did not print because I don't have anything asking for a contact. So I know that the sheet probably went beyond where I printed. But if I don't know why it didn't print them. I'm sorry, but
It's okay.
I can certainly provide those contacts if someone else doesn't or hasn't already.
Did that email come directly from you, Gloria?
It came from Shannon on Wednesday, June 18th.
Yeah.
On June 18th, because I'm not seeing it, so I don't know how I dropped the ball. So it came from Shannon. Okay.
And we've already requested that Shannon send it again. and
Send
we
it
thank her
again,
for
but
doing
I'm more
that.
concerned that it didn't, I'm not getting
Right.
things.
You want
So
to
I
trace
got the
it.
fair housing agenda on the 18th.
It came around the same time, I think. Yeah.
Should be
I
in the
wanna say-
body of that email.
Oh, it should be in the body of that email. Okay, so maybe I just didn't read down to the bottom. Right, okay, there were links that I didn't follow. Okay, I got it now. Okay. It was me.
No worries. It happens. We all get so many emails in our inboxes.
It's
these
very
days.
rare
really
that I can
understandable.
follow a link and pull it up. So
Yeah.
I have to say I'm glad it was you this time. So
Well, I'm glad I was able to join today and we could figure this all out.
Commissioners, any other questions or any other input for Gloria?
Great.
We want
Well-
to say thank you to Gloria in particular and to MAPC in general. We definitely appreciate your help in creating a broader network of contacts to reach deeper into the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very happy to help and grateful to be able to work with you all as well. And yeah, we'll resend that email, follow up, and once it seems like we have a critical mass and consensus on both the conversation guide and the contact list, we can get started with that outreach, and you'll be hearing from me then. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. I will go ahead and leave you all to the rest of your meeting. But again, really appreciate you all letting me jump in briefly for the start here, and I'll try to make sure I'm able to join the full meeting going forward. All right.
Looking forward to
Okay.
that.
Thanks so much.
Great. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
So it is wonderful to have a full house of commissioners today. We already called the meeting to order. Let's just, take care of the formalities first. We have two sets of minutes to review and approve. One is from the last regular meeting on May 22nd, and then the other one is from the special meeting that we had with MAPC on June the 5th. And let's deal with each of them. May 22nd, do I hear a motion to approve those minutes? Patrice and Kate, you were nodding. I'm going to take that as a second. Okay. Other commissioners? Yes, no?
Yes.
Approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, the minutes from the special meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll approve them.
Rona moves, Kay seconds. Patrice and Janine signify yes, approved unanimously. Okay, thank you. Moving on to a couple of standing agenda items. And I'm just saying, I say this each time for folks who might be either the public who might be in attendance right now or who might be viewing this in a video later on. The Somerville Fair Housing Commission has a Facebook page. You can find it by searching Somerville Fair Housing Commission, all one word. We tend to post Fair Housing Question of the Week on Friday and a news item on Monday and occasional other things in between. This last month, the attention that we've gotten has kind of dropped off from previous months, but I will say in general, we have all-time 566 followers of the page. 2/3 of them are women. The largest group is from Somerville, but we also have significant numbers of followers from Boston and from Cambridge and a little bit from other places, including internationally. But since our last meeting, couple of the posts that got the most attention. One was a question of the week, and I should say that sometimes we post questions that are not directly about discrimination in housing, but are of interest to people who might then experience discrimination. So this one was a question around this time of year. A lot of people are moving out of their apartments. So the question was, how do I get my security deposit back? Right. And, that could just be a landlord-tenant issue. It could conceivably be an issue of discrimination. But 58 people saw that and 5 reacted to it in some way, liked, commented, shared. The other post that got a fair amount of attention was one of those news articles. It was a news article about the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development being under fire from this administration. Basically, a number of the civil rights laws that they should be enforcing are not being enforced according to this article because of staff cuts and because lawyers are being told to slow walk some complaints, and grants to places like Somerville to do fair housing and so forth are being held up or attempted to be canceled. 58 people saw that one and 5 commented, liked, reacted, and 2 actually shared the article. So those were like I say, fewer people are paying attention this month, but those were the ones that got the most attention. So let me stop and see if the commissioners have any questions or thoughts about that.
The only question I have is June frequently a weak month for us? Or is it more a bigger impact than that?
I would say both. I would say we often get less attention over the summer, but this is a very big drop off from April or May.
Goodness, the people who do view the site, do they get it directly by typing in fair housing Somerville, or do they search for a specific, like for example, around the security deposit issue? Do they put in like security deposit and do a search, or do you know that? I'm curious.
I could look into that. It's both. I mean, the number of followers that I mentioned, these are people who, specifically checks that off. And then there are other folks where the Facebook algorithm may just present it to it because of other things they're interested. Or as you say, they might put in, how do I get my security deposit back?
Right.
I don't think we'd be the highest one.
I was just curious more than anything.
Yeah, I'm looking and a bunch of things are coming in before us.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
all the
Just done
apartment
that.
ads that are asking for security deposits are
Yeah.
coming in ahead of us.
Commissioner Patrice had a question or a comment.
Oh, I just had basically a comment. Well, basically more voicing a concern. I am concerned about the defunding of HUD and how that affects fair housing or like in our communities and I guess in the nation. Like, I wonder what the far reaching effects will be and how many years will we take to really know what the effects are, and how many years will it take for us to bounce back? So I just have concerns, and I don't even know if studies are being done yet, or if anyone has necessarily calculated the implications. So I just wanted to voice my concern. I'm very concerned about this.
Yeah, that's bad.
Shannon, probably not, but have you heard anything about it in through city channels?
Not specifically. I think, yeah, we don't know anything yet about what the impacts will be. And I haven't heard from people submitting complaints yet about timelines. But I do know that, not to jump ahead into the complaints, but someone that we had submit a complaint, I helped her submit a complaint in December. HUD is assisting her right now with her complaint. So maybe that's a good thing. I don't
And
So you're saying it takes a while.
know.
Yeah, and I saw Bryant Gaspard
Aww.
this month, and they haven't fired him yet. So that's good.
This is the person who was hired initially for the position that Shannon holds now.
Yeah, he was Shannon like 4 years ago.
Who now works for HUD, yes.
And he said that HUD is doing its best. Like his part of HUD is carrying on. So he wasn't specific, but I asked him how HUD was treating him, and he said that he's still able to do his job. So that was the most positive thing I've heard so far.
So, and this is only indirectly connected, but it seems like a good time to mention the article that I sent to Shannon, which she redistributed to the commissioners. And this is from the Boston Globe, June 22nd. The headline said, "As federal cuts loom, rental housing vouchers across Massachusetts are being put on hold." So, this is something additional for us to worry about, I think, Patrice, especially, and you all know this, we put a fair amount of emphasis recently into educating people about housing vouchers. And it's kind of frustrating that they may now know more about a program that it may take them years to access, if ever. So I would encourage people, even though it's discouraging, read that article and be up to date on it. Anything else about the Facebook items before we move on? If not, Shannon, could you talk more about calls and complaints you've received since our last meeting?
Yeah, so there are three. The first one was a complaint. This person so they rented, but without a signed lease, a room, and the owner of the unit tried to throw her out after she said no to a roommate agreement. There was a lot of harassment. And so on the basis of gender, maybe, but I referred her to Greater Boston Legal Services first to get more advice there, because it did seem sort of like harassment, quid pro quo type thing. And then I said, go to MCAD, but Greater Boston Legal Services first. And I provided resources on the Violence Against Women Act, and Mass Legal Help's materials on harassment and housing discrimination. And then I also provided her with the contact for CORE, which stands for, let me see if I can remember, Community Outreach Help and Recovery Program through the city's police department, because this seems like a larger harassment case based on what she was describing. And it seems like this landlord has a history of doing that. So to see if they can help her. I mean, it is a fair housing issue, but I do also think it's larger than that and might be something that could be more along criminal lines. So just to give her the resources to address that. So I haven't heard back about what she is doing there. But we did talk on the phone and over email a few times, back and forth. The second person,
Hold on a second. I want to see, because there might be reactions or thoughts or comments about that. No?
No.
Let me just ask, how did we know that this landlord has a previous history?
This is what the tenant is saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And would you have, if other people had reported this landlord, would your records show that?
So this is actually a project that I am starting to work on, and want to try to have it done by the end of the summer, maybe, of just checking, because we have addresses for all the complaints that we have, but we don't necessarily have landlord or property manager names. So that's what I want to start doing. We have records all the way back to, I think, fiscal year 18, so 2017 through now. So I'm going to try to create sort of a list of if there are any overlapping complaints from the same place or the same owner or the same property manager. But no, the answer is no for right now. I do think this owner only owns one unit, from what research I've done.
Patrice?
Oh, I just wanted to, I guess, ask, but I'm not sure if I know the question or not, or maybe you already answered it. But even if you do not have a lease with a particular like landlord or management company, you're still able to like call in and make a complaint as a tenant. Even if you don't have a lease, are you still considered a tenant?
Yeah, you can still make a fair housing complaint because it is housing discrimination or harassment within housing, even though there's not like a formal lease situation. And it's the same for people who are like in a month-to-month type, verbal agreement. They can still be discriminated against and might be more vulnerable to discrimination if they are in that kind of situation. So
Thank you.
So what was the second complaint?
So the second one wasn't directly a complaint. It was more of a question. This person is I think, anticipating having difficulties with an emotional support animal when applying to a unit. And it seemed like they got a little bit of pushback from the landlord. So I explained to them the law regarding emotional support animals, and they asked to copy me in when they're sending the medical documentation, the documentation from a medical provider that the emotional support animal is needed to the landlord. So that hasn't happened yet, but they have all the resources I think they need there, and they know to reach back out if they are denied because of that. And then oh, does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, and then the third one came in yesterday afternoon. So we haven't had time to talk over the phone yet, but we will be next week. This person is in that sort of month-to-month verbal agreement situation. They said that because their wife is coming to live with them, the landlord is applying pressure for the person to vacate the unit, including offering to pay the security deposit if they leave quietly, dismissing their rights, and stating that they don't want to talk about legalities. And they attach like good documentation of all of this. They don't have any written notice of the lease being terminated, and they are a tenant at will. So I'll talk to them more about their rights, but I do think that this is they're just being pressured by the landlord to move out. So I'll do whatever they want me to do, but this could be a situation where if I call the landlord and tell them about their rights, that might help them in the situation. And if it doesn't, I think that they should go through MCAD and file a formal complaint.
Now, are they members of a protected class?
So I think because the reason why they're being pressured to leave is because the wife is moving in or their spouse is moving in. I think that they would fall under that like family status, protected class, or marital status.
But were there 2 adults in that unit before?
No, only one, and it's a studio apartment, but that should be fine, I believe. With I don't know, with like the health and safety code, I think that it's still okay to have 2.
Yeah, it's a very hard thing to break in terms of, I think you only need like 150 square feet per person.
Mhm.
To say that place is too small, it would have to be under 300 square feet.
Mhm.
But yeah, there was a discrimination case a long time ago about somebody saying they wanted a couple because the apartment was too small for 2 unattached adults. And that
Mhm.
didn't fly either in
Okay,
terms of discrimination. So that sounds right.
that's good to know. Do you know like around when it was?
It went through it went through the Cambridge Rent Control Board
Okay.
in 1988. So you're not going to find the records on that.
Okay.
Not 1988, 1985. And the Cambridge Rent Control Board, that was the reason the landlord didn't want them there, was because the lease was in one person's name and they were both there. And the couple said, you met both of us.
Mhm.
And the ad for the apartment said couple preferred or couple for couples. And using the term couples was the problem.
Mhm.
And the rent control board said, you can't throw them out for that.
And Rona, would you please remind people about in brief, the history of why the rent control board and
Okay,
you know,
so
why
when
you
there was rent
smile when
control,
you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when there was rent control in 3 cities in Massachusetts, Brookline, Cambridge, and Springfield in the 70s through the 90s, through the mid 80s, actually. There was a board appointed in each town to mediate issues regarding landlords who had rent control apartments and their tenants. And this was a discrimination case within that framework. But I don't know if I could find any record of it at this point because it's so long ago.
And of course, what you're implying is a statewide law was passed to eliminate rent control.
Eliminate it, right. In 1994, rent control was outlawed by ballot initiative statewide. And that went into effect in the beginning of 1996. But the ruling was that, they had done a discriminatory thing by saying, we want a couple, because there's a 1-bedroom apartment, we want a couple. And you're not allowed to do that. So that was the precedent that I wanted to make sure Shannon knew about.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess just to get your opinions on this, do you think that this does fall under protected class?
It falls under family status. Yeah. Because, the apartment is big enough, for health code for 2 people. So there's not 2 separate sleeping spaces. But if they're a couple, that doesn't, that's on a practical level, that's not there. So for them to say we can only have 1 person in there because it's a studio doesn't fly. Because that's what's used against people with children all the time. You don't have enough room for a mother and a child in this space. And legally, if it's 300 square feet, you have enough room. So yeah, so I think it is family status.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Anybody have any other thoughts, questions, comments about the calls and complaints that Shannon has shared with us? Okay. Well, then if it's all right, we'll move on. And let's talk about tabling events. This is a big part of our attempt to educate the public about fair housing laws and people's rights and responsibilities. Carnival was June the 1st. Who's in a position to debrief us a little bit about that event?
I can debrief a little bit about the event. I was there from 2 to, I want to say 4. And it was a great turnout. And we had our table we had our table in a great spot kind of toward the end, with the other community-based organizations. And we're actually near some of the folks we wanted to outreach to at the beginning of our meeting. So we were strategically placed. And we had folks like walk up and ask us questions. We had a game. It was a bit windy, and like the wind worked with us sometimes, and sometimes it did not. When it did not work with us, it would just knock everything down. But when it did work with us, it would knock things down in a way in which people would help us. And then we'd bring them in and ask them questions of what they know about fair housing. So we were able to speak to, I want to say, oh my goodness, when I was there, I want to say I had in between 10 to maybe 30 conversations or so here and there. But a lot of people needed, assistance, rental assistance, believe it or not. Well, actually, I do believe it. So we tried to inform about fair housing and discrimination and protected classes, but also my partner in crime who was there was giving information about other resources there too. And we also tried to share our resources with the tables around us. So we weren't just in one place. People would able to find our resources on other tables too. So it was a great event, and I got to be out in the community that day. And besides the wind, it was beautiful. And yeah, that was my experience. And actually it was my first tabling experience.
Okay. Do you have anything that you want to add to the materials, or do you think the materials are good the way they are?
I would say people really loved like the giveaways. And I want to say also for like having a fun game, if things were a little bit more sturdy, right? Like the wind knocked us about, and we did not need the tent. Thank goodness we
I
did
know,
not
right?
decide to use the tent.
Agreed.
And do we have a tent now?
No, I was gonna use the MAPC one. Like we were actually that Friday afternoon, we were thinking about like, oh, how do we get Shannon was there like in the conversation. We had like a quick conference call on like, is this tent really necessary? And like we actually were able to have a conference call with like Gloria too. It's like, how do we secure this tent? And it was a lot. But we do not have a tent, but we could always borrow MAPC's tent, and they do have like the tent weights. So it makes the requirement. It is big and it is heavy. I've seen it myself. I'm not sure how I can get from point A to point B. So I did ask Gloria some pointers as she is our TAP coordinator. I did ask her what is the best advice she could give me for someone who like is tabling, and she said to me, stand in front of the table. And that's what I did when I was holding up and the wind wasn't blowing things around. Like I was trying to hold things and also kind of be in front of the table too, to kind of like grab attention and be available to answer questions and like have people feel comfortable coming up and being in the space.
Yeah, we may need sandbags for the trifold
Maybe.
thing on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there as well. It was quiet when I was there, but I think people had more questions not so much about fair housing law but just about what the commission was and what the commission did. So that was interesting to me, and it was just a really fun event. And I did see some people that I hadn't seen in a bit, so that's always great. So, yeah.
I'll just add one thing, which is that, well, two things. I thought the tabling was great. Yes, extremely windy, which made it more challenging than other tabling events that we've gone to. But also I got a call, well, one of the calls that I talked about, so the person with the emotional support animal, when they started the call, they said they heard about the commission from a tabling event. And Lisa has also gotten a call recently from someone who heard about the commission from the tabling event. So I think that's a good sign.
And just for the public, Lisa Davidson is I think, still acting director of the housing division. And so Shannon's boss. Yeah. Any other comments about that? Cool. Well, that makes a nice segue to the upcoming tabling opportunity. Usually I say Artbeat is held on the hottest day of the year, but God, let it not be so this year, given what we've just been through. But it is July 19th, 1 to 7 p.m., according to what we have on the agenda here. I know that Rona and I and Lisa have all tabled there before. Shannon helped us get set up. So I want to kind of put you on the spot and say, can you please take a shift for the this would be Saturday the 19th. Yeah, Shannon, go ahead.
I want to issue one correction. So it's actually 12 to 7. So it's going to be quite long. So I signed us up. I mean, that doesn't mean that it's set in stone that we have to do it. I just had to sign up before the deadline. But I want to see what people's capacity is. also want to keep in mind that these MAPC conversations are happening, so that might be more of a lift too. And we've, done other tabling this year, but tabling does seem to be effective in getting the word out. So I don't know, just want to see what everyone's able to do, given that it's like 7 hours of 7 hours of being out there.
It's on a Saturday, so I can't help this time, unfortunately. If it were on a Sunday, I can usually finagle, but Saturdays are hard.
Patrice?
So I had one question and then I had another observation, or a comment or a suggestion. So my question is, like, what is the shift usually like? Will it be like 2-hour shifts or like a 3-hour shift?
I think so. What we did last year, I feel like it was shorter last year for some reason. But I think Dennis and Rona, didn't you both take 2-hour shifts, but you ended up staying for, I think, 4 hours total each?
Okay.
And I was there for 2 hours for the first two, and Lisa was there for the whole
Whole thing.
time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might have been there for the whole thing too. And the whole thing doesn't go till 7 because that place, that sort of run along 7 Hills Park, 10 Hills Park, whatever.
7 Hills.
Whatever number of Hills Park that is. Those are all the nonprofits and city offices. And they tend to close up around 5, I think.
I can double check.
Yeah.
It seemed like from the email that they sent after I signed up that it would be the full time. And they, I think, even suggested like sharing a table if you needed to, but I can double check with them if it's okay if we leave early or.
Yeah, it seemed like a bunch of people did leave early, is what I sort of remember. Because it was, well, actually, it would still be daylight, so maybe not. I don't know. But we were there a very long time.
So Patrice, I would say if you could possibly consider signing up for a 2-hour shift, that would be very reasonable.
I think
And
I
I'm
can
saying
do a
that-
2-hour shift.
Okay, so Patrice can, Janine cannot. Hey, how about you?
My sister is leaving town that day, so I would be able to table the second half of the shift, like
You take a
into the
late shift.
nighttime.
I can do like the early shift.
So if you do like the 12 to 2 in case, if you do like the 5 to 7, is that early? Is
Yeah, I think she leaves at 4, so that would work.
that okay?
Okay.
So
And Rona, are you thinking of taking a shift this time?
well, if I take a shift, I have to make sure that I only take a shift and not multiple shifts, because I ended up very sick. So I'm not doing that again. I had a heat thing, so I was sick that night. So I'm not going to do that to myself. So, but I can do a 2-hour. So if I relieve Patrice at 2, and Dennis, are you taking a shift?
Well, I can like overlap with you and stay until Kay can join us.
Until Kay
Then
gets there.
I can
Yeah.
like overlap the two of you and make sure that Kay is well set up.
Well set up and continuity.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's Lisa, Shannon, or both who's going to be there to help set up and then pack away, but staff have been instrumental in that in the past.
Yeah, I think it will be both of us. Lisa seemed, I talked to her yesterday about it, and I believe she'll be able to do it too.
Yeah, Lisa really enjoys this stuff. Or she at least looks like it.
She's good at it.
Wait,
Yeah,
is this a situation where we need to bring the tent? Because if we do, we should try to get that going.
Yeah, we
now.
have to figure out how to get the tent out.
We definitely
Yeah,
need
we
the
do that
tent
one.
for the hottest day of the year, if that's what it's gonna be.
Then like
we
maybe
we would not have survived without the tent.
okay.
Last year.
So we will plan on bringing the MAPC tent. I will talk to
Yep.
Gloria about reserving that on our behalf. And also maybe you can volunteer to bring like fans, like little cooling fans, to help keep us cool so nobody gets sick. And like
Yeah.
lots of hydration.
Lots of hydration.
Yeah, I don't quite know what I did wrong, but it may have been what I ate. It may have been not drinking enough, and it may have just been just too much. But I'm, you know, I was there at least from noon to 4, and I think I was there from noon to 5.
That's a long time.
So that's just too much. One other thing about tabling that I figured out at Artbeat, which really sort of made me feel good about what I did, was I had a piece of paper on the table, and every time I talked to somebody, I made a hash mark.
Good idea. Yeah.
So we talked to like, I think it was like 100 and something people.
We could look at
Just-
the minutes from.
Just even if it was like a sentence or two, I marked it down. And then the people who made the quizzes, I sort of had in another corner. You know, the people who actually sat and talked to us, you know, and played our
That's a
game.
good idea. Yeah.
So that, you know, and that's motivating to me because I'm that kind of person. So if it's motivating to you, you should do it.
Yeah. And I like the idea of measuring like engagement
Yeah.
and like thinking about like who is seeing our outreach, and thinking about where the pitfalls are. So I like that. And I wonder if, and this is part of the strategic part of like having a TAP coordinator with us, I wonder if like some of those folks that we're going to be reaching out to and engage with, I wonder if they will also be at Artbeat. I wonder if we can have conversations while at Artbeat.
We did that at city, whatever it's called, city
Civic
Day.
Day.
Civic Day, that's it. Civic Day. I actually wandered over to racial and social justice and talked to the high school members who were there, and talked to a couple of different city offices while I was there. So that helps too. So we should make sure that we are strategically covered enough so that one person can go over and schmooze the other tables.
And like also, is there another organization that kind of is similar to us in Somerville that may not have the resources that we have that can share a table with us if we have room to share a table?
I was thinking about OHS, maybe the Office of Housing Stability.
That's a good
I'm not sure if they are tabling at this, but I'll find out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we were theoretically sharing with housing last time, I think. So we had for Artbeat, it really was all about us, but theoretically we were housing also. Whereas at Civic Day, there was also the inclusionary housing program was very prominent.
Yeah, another option is if housing does want to help table, that could kind of lighten the load if some people on housing staff are there for the whole time too. So we have at least, 2 to 3 people at the table at all times. But from what it looks like, we will have 2 people at the table at all times. So Lisa or I will be at the beginning and the end. And then Rona and Dennis, you guys will be together for most of it. Seems
Well,
like.
the way I have it written down here for the commissioners, it looks like Patrice has like the 12 to 2 shift. Is that right?
Yes.
And then Rona is going to be like 2 to 4, and I'm going to be 4 to 6, and Kay is going to be 5 to 7.
Oh, okay. You're going to be
And
4 to 6.
right, and
Okay.
I'll overlap them, but and we'll Kay and I and whatever staff person are there, we'll assess what's going on. If everybody's gone home by 5 o'clock, we'll feel free to pull it down. But if we're still able to have an impact, we'll hang out.
Yeah, and there's some chance, I mean, the rain date is Sunday. So, I mean, it
Ah,
could rain.
one never knows.
It is a Saturday in New England. Right.
So if it's okay, and if everybody has the art beat discussion concluded, I want to turn to one of our very different outreach methods, which is the last couple of local election years, we've done a questionnaire for both incumbent and challenging candidates. And there are a lot of them this year. Just for an example, running for 4 at-large council seats, there are 2 incumbents and 10 challengers. And not every seat is like that, but yeah, there's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
Patrice, are you still willing to work on that?
Yes, I'm still willing to work on that. And also I was thinking about where to kind of like revamp a couple of the questions, and where to kind of think about, brainstorm what questions. And I was thinking about a source that could help me is the Fair Housing Report, the Somerville Fair Housing Report may be able to help me form questions. So Shannon, could you please re-forward those so they're back at the top of my inbox, because it's been a while.
Yeah, you're talking about the 2017 assessment of fair housing, right? Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so Shannon, I will be assisting Patrice on this, so please copy me on that as well.
And Dennis, I wonder if we can think about new sources, more. So sorry, let me take a drink of water. I'm getting dry. So I was wondering if there are other types of media resources or types of media sources that we could reach out to. How do we reach more people? I wonder if this is also, if we could ask Gloria too, in regards to like media outreach, if she may know of some resources or connections.
Great. Patrice, you and I will be in touch offline and, you know, set up a time to talk about all this. And just, you know, for public meeting law purposes, 2 of us meeting, even with some, you know, the consultant from MAPC, that doesn't require to be published, you know. And when we need to get the full commission's approval on something, we'll do our usual thing, send it to Shannon and have her as the city official, you know, have her share it to the commission as a whole. Okay, so Patrice and I will move that forward. So Kay, I'm about to ask you about online education and outreach. I know you and I met a little while back to talk about improving on what we're doing right now, at least by adding Instagram to our channels. And can you say a little bit more about that?
I don't have any updates on that now. I think that kind of got put on the back burner when I started my new job. But it's something that I can add as like as a summer task for myself, and maybe set like more realistic goals now that I'm past my 90 days at my job. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working on that like now into July.
So what would be helpful to support you with that? Because I know some of it is just one person sitting at a computer and inputting stuff, but you know, I'm certainly available to bounce things off of, but anything else that would be useful to you?
I don't think so, unless we need to workshop a bio that's different from the one on Facebook or the one on the city's website. If not, if I can just copy and paste that, then I don't think so right now. And Instagram is my thing, so I don't think I need any help with it.
So that raises a question. How many of us have video bios that we made? Janine, you look like that's not you, right? Please unmute.
I don't think so.
How about you, Patrice? Also, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
sorry. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think back. So, I think I don't think I've done a video introduction. I think what I did do was, a couple of years ago, during the pandemic, we did kind of like, a know your rights via video. I think that's all I have. I don't think I have like, a formal introduction.
So, I know Commissioner Rona and I did this, and I believe if you go to the Fair Housing Commission page on the city's website, and scroll down enough, you can find the videos. So, if you folks would check, and Kay, of course, you're new, and we're glad you're here. But if any of the three of you hasn't done it yet, and again, if you want any help figuring out how to do it, I'm happy to help with content. Kay, is it okay to volunteer you to help with technical aspects?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I have
Um,
to redo mine. I'm sorry, Kate. I didn't
no,
mean to.
you can go, sorry.
Yeah, I have to redo mine because mine was talking to other realtors, and I'm not a realtor anymore. So I'm not allowed to say I'm a realtor anymore. I don't belong to the guild. So I have to redo mine, but I'll do that in the month or so and give it to Shannon. She can get it posted.
Okay, so if everybody would please make a note to check if you need to make a video, and then figure out what you want to say. And it doesn't have to be great technical values. We all just like used our phones and talked to them. But if you can do that, let's say set a goal for, I'm going to say July 15th. And that way, by our next meeting on July 24th, we'll be able to check in, and you'll be able to say, yay, I did it. And Kay will say, yay, now I can use them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think when I was thinking of bios, I think it is important we should update the ones on the website. But for Instagram, videos are usually not super effective. Like I was imagining having a post that was like, welcome your commissioners, and then it would have five of our pictures on the first slide, and then like the next slide would be a picture of like Janine and a bio underneath her picture, and then like Rona like that. So maybe some homework that I have for you guys is to send me a headshot and your bios. Nothing too long because it's just going to be on an Instagram post, but yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
That sounds doable.
Okay, so we're going to send a headshot and a written bio to Kay, and we're going to work on making sure that we have videos up on the city website. And Kay, anything else about online outreach?
No, but now that I'm thinking about it, Shannon, do you want to be on the Instagram? I feel like you should get a spotlight too, like as the staff member.
It's up to the commission. I think it should be the commission's Instagram and highlight the commit, like especially maybe not in the same post, but it's up to you all.
I want to support that idea, but other commissioners tell me what you think. But here's my reasoning: when people call in with questions and complaints, they're going to talk to Shannon. So having her face and bio out there would be welcoming. Do you agree?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, Kay, thanks. Great idea. And if you guys can work on that together, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm taking note of the time, and I'm wondering if we should table some of the other items on the agenda and kind of skip to the stuff that we have to do to finish the meeting. So that, if I'm right, we would be tabling a review about the Fair Housing and Civil Rights Conference, and also discussing adding protected classes to the fair housing ordinance. That doesn't seem like it's urgent. So we could talk about the one thing I'm a little concerned about is we have a debrief the Fair Housing Month events. I don't want that to fade from people's memory, and that was April, and this is already June. Could we take 5 minutes more, or are people able to take 5 minutes to debrief the April events? Anybody have a problem?
I guess I'll extend my lunch by a few more minutes.
We really appreciate it, Patrice. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to call on Commissioner Rona first because she was organizing a bunch of this.
Yeah, the big difference between last year and this year was that the sort of the inter-Somerville communications was better. Because I presented at the Human Rights Commission, because Racial and Social Justice was supporting us, because Office of Housing Stability was supporting us, we had a lot more people, which was important. We also, because they have budgets and we don't, we had food, and that made a lot of difference. So if we can continue to have that interagency cooperation within the city of Somerville, I think we're already miles ahead of where we were. In terms of content, it was very valuable. The year before we had Todd from Boston Legal Services on his own. And this time we had Todd from Boston Legal Services, and we had Susan Shemaine from Office of Housing Stability. And because she does advocacy, she was able to answer a lot of questions right on the spot. And that was very helpful. And I think, bribing her with food again and having her come again is a valuable thing.
The food was also excellent. It was, not, I don't know. I've been to lots of meetings and I thought it was above, the usual coffee pastry kind of stuff. That was very good.
The food was real food.
It was so good.
It was dinner and there was a lot of it. And then the second event, because we had such a diverse, well-balanced panel, because we had Janine and we had Louise. And so both city people, but from a very different place in terms of somebody Somerville all their lives and somebody Somerville in the last 6 to 8 years. And very much what the face of Somerville looks like. And that added a lot of depth to what we did when we discussed the book, because we got to discuss the book and then the reality on the ground. And I think both of the programs were better than they were before it. So Commissioner Janine, you were fab.
I thought it was so much fun, and I learned a lot from Louise. So, you're right. I think the balance was great because it was a different, we had very different perspectives on a lot of things, but both of us, working toward the same goal of equity and fairness. So, yeah, it was really, I really enjoyed that event a lot. It was cool.
Yeah, and so a lot of what we did, we should just bottle and do again.
I agree.
But what we want to add, I think we started in like November or December to start to think about this. And I think that's what we have to do every year.
I also like the chart that you had. I don't know that you brought that, right? Rona, the chart. Right. Because that, like, both my daughter was there and my husband and I, and we were all pretty fascinated that things haven't really changed all that much in terms of the way that map looked. And
you're talking about the redlining map.
Yes,
the redlining map, and then the median income map.
Yep. And I found that very interesting.
That which is depressed is still depressed.
Which is depressing.
Yeah.
which is depressing.
Do either of the other commissioners have thoughts or comments to add?
I want to like definitely agree with Rona. And also I would love us to like proceed the way we did last year with next year too. So I definitely agree with that. And also I'm wondering if our event may become bigger in the future as we start partnering with other organizations too. And also, will we be able to go to those other organizations' events also? So I'm just putting that thought and idea out there. But yes, I'm so glad. But also I'm feeling down about HUD. So
Yeah.
speaking of redlining maps and yes.
Yeah, someone whose job is funded by HUD. I think about that every day. Every day.
Yeah, there's one other thing I was a little concerned about is August. Can we meet a week early?
Yeah, so let's just make sure that we're all done talking about April Fair Housing Month. Are we all
Okay.
done? Okay.
Yep.
Well, first, the next meeting is scheduled for 3 o'clock on July the 24th. And I have a request, which is it will be very helpful for Shannon, who's making sure that we have a quorum for this. Today we had unanimous attendance, which is wonderful, and I hope we can do that as often as possible. But can you please, when you get an email from Shannon that says RSVP for the next meeting, can you please respond to that?
Yes,
I will
yes,
make a point of it.
charged. I will.
All right, great, good.
You're not alone, Kay.
So
there's a lot of room to do better here.
yeah, no shame in this game. We're just trying to make sure the commission functions as well as we possibly can.
And I don't want to annoy anyone with a phone call. I'm so sorry. But everyone's gotten a phone call, so don't worry.
Yeah, and
So,
I have out of town people here on the 24th, but I'll work around them.
So Commissioner Rona, you were saying about the August meeting.
Yeah, I would like to meet the week earlier, if that's possible.
So could you tell us what dates we're talking about specifically?
So instead of August 31st, which it would be August 24th.
Would this be July or August? The August meeting
sorry.
is
I'm
on
sorry.
the
I went up
28th.
I went one flip instead of two. Sorry. Instead of the 28th, it would be the 21st.
I am gonna be out on the 21st.
Okay.
I could do
All
the
right, so that's okay.
14th though. If we want to do an August meeting.
Can we get, I think we need to do an August meeting because of the candidate. I think we need to have the candidate stuff ready to roll.
A lot before August, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a primary election, which most of the time, probably not this year entirely, but most of the time, the primary election is decisive. And that's in early September.
That's the 16th.
Yeah, actually mid-September this year. Yeah, so Commissioner Patrice and I will meet ASAP and get this process underway now that we know who the candidates are going to be. So the proposal I heard was to meet on Thursday, August the 14th, and that would be like 3 weeks after our July meeting. But is that all right with folks?
That can work with me. That can work.
I can make that work.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay, so with the consent of all the commissioners, our next two meetings will be July 24th and August 14th, both at 3 p.m. We will all RSVP to Shannon to let her know that we'll have a quorum for those meetings. And thank you everybody for your patience. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
By Commissioner Patrice, second by Commissioner Kay.
Okay.
Commissioner
Patrice, get
Sloan
back to
and
work.
Jolene.
Right? Like I am officially still on break.
Okay.
I'm
I'm in
hearing that
compliance.
this passes unanimously. I'm just being, stuffy and official about this. So,
Okay.
so the meeting is ended at 4:13 p.m.
Okay.
Excellent.